partial incarnation of a powerful presence, a powerful source of intelligence, wisdom, and compassion that we call soul, and it's real. Now, the new consciousness is emerging. The old consciousness learns about the world from the world, but the new consciousness learns about itself from the world. That means the world is a reflection of us. Is it angry? Is it jealous? Is it creating in ways that are destructive? Or is it behaving, creating new energy, a new world, a world that is kind, a world that cares, a world that contributes, a world of love? It becomes evident that the only way we can change the world is to change ourselves. And we ask, what should I do? What shall I do? What can I do? This podcast is one of a series. The podcast itself is a series, and within that series are mini-series. The mini-series that this podcast is part of is called What is Real? And we've been exploring that for several podcasts. We've looked at artificial intelligence. We've looked at meaning. We've looked at connection. Both of those are real. We've looked at reverence, seeing soul to soul, not personality to personality where you're attracted and repulsed by what you see, or both, but soul to soul, where you're beyond attraction, beyond repulsion, you're connected. You are a soul, and you're with another soul, and you're not thinking about it, you are. That's real. And then we talked about authentic power. That's the power the potential of the power that comes with a new consciousness. The old power in the old consciousness was manipulation and control. The new potential of power that comes with the new consciousness, not as a gift, but as a possibility if you create it, if you choose to create it, which you must if you want to experience it. That is authentic power. That is the alignment of your personality with your soul, which to the old consciousness is garble, because the soul is not a real entity, a real presence in your life. It's only something that's a religious concept, construct, and its purpose is partly to inspire and partly to fear. Soul in the new consciousness is a real experience, and there's nothing to fear about it. The new consciousness brings with it the realization or the sense that you are a partial incarnation of a powerful presence, a powerful source of intelligence, wisdom, and compassion that in the religious language of the West we call soul. And it's real. And as you begin to experience that as yourself, you begin to see and desire the new understanding, the new experience of power, which is alignment of your personality with your soul, which means with the intentions of your soul, which means harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. So then we begin to look at what it takes to create authentic power. And that took us into a look at the old consciousness and the new consciousness as it exists today, right now. Look outside of you. Google it. Google the world. Google anything about the world, and you will see sharp contrast. On one side of the contrast is the old consciousness, the consciousness that understands power as manipulation and control, and nothing else but that. Power that must be gained and can be lost, and therefore must be defended. Power that is always sought. And no matter how much is acquired, it's not enough. No empire ever decided to simply stop expanding. It expanded until another empire expanded into it. That has been the brutal, blood-filled history of our species. We've had noble, experiences, enlightened experiences, experiences that called us forward from the heart. But for the most part, human history has been written with blood, and it's been a brutal history. Now the new consciousness is emerging. Not a new consciousness, the new consciousness. And its understanding of power is alignment with harmony, cooperation, sharing, and reverence for life. And now these two consciousnesses exist side by side. And in the last podcast, I used an event called World War II to illustrate the old consciousness. That's the only consciousness that existed at that time, except in remarkable individuals, but not within our entire species. And I used the example of a man there named Adolf, and his last name was Hitler. He was German. And he was elected into the highest political office in Germany between two brutal events, one called World War I and the other called World War II. Never before had the world experienced anything like a world war. Everyone's involved. Not just China and Japan, not just France and Germany, not just Spain and the Mayan culture, the entire world at war. Horrible, beyond comprehension. And it happened twice. And between those two wars, World War I and World War II, this man, Adolf, was elected to office. And he immediately began to appeal to the fear of the German people who had lost World War I. "We've been humiliated," said Adolf. "The great nation of Germany will become great again. We will make Germany great again." Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. Donald Trump tells everyone in the United States who is drawn to fear, "Our country has been humiliated. Our trade deficit is enormous. We will not let that happen. We must not let that continue. We will make America great again." How? With external power, the ability to manipulate and control, the only power that a five-sensory consciousness can experience. It doesn't mean that anyone who's confined to the five senses is inferior in any way to those who are not. It simply means that their consciousness is more limited, and the new consciousness is less limited. This is a temporary state of affairs. Within a generation and a half now, everyone will have the new consciousness. But in the meantime, which is now, we see both of these consciousnesses side by side. And so, as we look at the turmoil around us, political, environmental, financial, personal, and we ask, what should I do? What shall I do? What can I do? From the old consciousness, the answer we looked at in the last podcast is clear, direct, and unambiguous. Double down. Do more of the same. If somebody hits me, I hit them back. If they hit me harder, I hit them harder. I'm the biggest dog, and I intend to make America the biggest dog on the planet. I intend to make it great again. What should I do now? I'm doing it. Watch me. That's the answer from the old consciousness. Now, when you ask that same question, what should I do now in the face of all of this turmoil, to someone with a new consciousness, the situation is not so simple, and neither is the answer. Although actually the answer turns out to be very simple. There is, in the old consciousness, an uncrossable barrier, an unclimbable obstacle between in here and out there, and it is permanent. There is always the difference between in here and out there. So from that perspective, it is ludicrous to think that anything that you do in here can affect the world out there. It cannot happen. It's nonsense. But from the new consciousness, the experience is different because that uncrossable barrier is not a part of the new consciousness. The difference between in here and out there is very blurred. You learn about yourself from the world. The old consciousness learns about the world from the world. But the new consciousness learns about itself from the world. That means the world reflects back to it what it needs to know about itself. Is it angry? Is it jealous? Is it behaving? Is it creating in ways that are destructive? Or is it behaving, creating, and bringing into being new energy, a new world, a world that is kind, a world that is grounded, a world that is sane, a world that cares, a world that contributes, a world of love? These are the questions the new consciousness looks at, because individuals with the new consciousness feel the pull of the new power. They are no longer content to be a part of the brutality that has characterized the human experience. They intend not to. They intend to create something different. And what is that something different? The old consciousness is experienced in many ways. Competitiveness, hoarding, exploitation. The new consciousness is experienced in the opposite. Contributing, cooperation, sharing. And that's what we see as we look around us now. We see the old consciousness exemplified by Donald Trump and those who are around him and drawn to him. And that's always the case because of a dynamic that we can call the law of attraction. It's not just picturing yourself in a Lamborghini and somehow that's going to happen. It's much simpler and more powerful than that. The law of attraction is this: energy attracts like energy. If you believe that the world is dog-eat-dog and you need to be the big dog, you're living in a dog-eat-dog world. If you are a loving person, you are living in a loving world. A five-sensory personality would say, "Show it to me and I'll believe it." An individual with a new consciousness will say, "I believe it, and then I'll see it." And you can try this out for yourself. Look at the people around you. They are reflecting you. Your experiences with them and theirs with you are simply showing you the law of attraction. So if you want to change the people around you, change yourself. Now, what about the world around you? Same thing. As that distinction between in here and out there is removed as we move from the old consciousness to the new, it becomes evident that the only way we can change the world is to change ourselves. The world is a reflection of us. But you ask, well, what's the reflected and what's the reflection? That's an important question, because the reflection depends upon what is reflected. So let's look at this more carefully. When you lash out at someone with anger, righteousness, with correctness, you enter a darkness. You see the world through the lens of fear, and everything that you see is an illusion. You're not seeing the world the way it actually is. You're seeing it through a part of your personality. And you experience these different parts of your personality as anger, jealousy, resentment, competition. This is at the heart of the new consciousness. From the old consciousness, when you felt angry or jealous, you felt that you were angry or jealous. It seemed as though the personality was a monolithic thing that sometimes is happy, sometimes sad. But from the new consciousness, you can see your own personality is much more complex and beautiful than that. It's comprised of many different parts. Some of them originate in fear, like those I just mentioned, and some originating in love, such as experiences of gratitude, caring, appreciation, patience, awe of the universe, contentment. And as you see these different experiences, not as coming from the unchangeable ground of your being, but as different parts of your personality, that perception alone puts an arm's length distance between you and that part of your personality that's active in the moment, whether it is jealous, competitive, grateful, needs more external power, or wants to contribute. In other words, the new consciousness allows you to choose between these parts of your personality. And as you do, you are choosing the experiences that you are creating for yourself. We are living in the Earth School. That's a name for a domain of time and space and matter and duality and fear. And duality means that for every this, there is a that. Big, little, male, female, night, day, dark, light. Everything has an opposite. This is the nature of the Earth School. And interposed between those opposites, every duality is choice, your choice. That's the nature of the Earth School. You are a chooser. You cannot not choose. And your choices are always, 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 always the same. Love or fear. Most people think of an intention as a goal. Like, I'm going to go to Italy and learn Italian. I'm going to eat, drink, and pray. I'm going to go to Europe. I'm going to learn Mandarin. I'm going to be a scuba diver. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a mother. But these are not intentions. You might say they're out-tensions. An intention is a quality of consciousness. And when you act with that quality of consciousness, you infuse your word and your deeds with that quality of consciousness. The only two consciousnesses available to you. And the bedrock, down deep, can't go any deeper, lower, or more fundamental part of the Earth School. The only intentions are love and fear. And that's what you can see as you enter the new consciousness, or as it enters you. Now that is always your question. Shall I choose love, or shall I choose fear? Well, when you were different from the world, you could say, well, I'll choose love. The world can be dog eat dog. I'll just be love. But it's not going to change the world. The dogs will still eat each other. But I don't have to be one. I can be superior to that. It doesn't work any longer. If you think you're different from the world, you're in an illusion. If you think you're other than anyone else, you're in an illusion. There are no others. There is one, and all is that, and you are that. Wow, that's a different orientation, isn't it? How now do you answer the question, what should I do? About Donald Trump, what should I do? About a nascent Adolf Hitler, what should I do? About the totalitarian, authoritarian dictatorships that abound in large or small scales. And the smallest scale is perhaps you with someone that you're intimate with. Question is the same. What shall I do? From the new consciousness, it is clear that if you have no compassion for someone who has no compassion, what is the difference between you? If you lash out against a world that you feel superior to, and your weapons are righteousness, correctness, divinity on my side, you enter a darkness. You can't see anything except what the fear, the frightened part of your personality shows you. And if you're 5 sensory, you don't know that that's just a part of your personality or parts. But now you can know the difference. You can know the difference. You can see them. And you can develop tools such as emotional awareness and responsible choice and consulting intuition, which we've covered and talked about in other podcasts. These are the simple tools of creating authentic power, real power. So from the new consciousness, it's evident that it's impossible to change a world that's built on external power with more external power. The world that we've inherited from a 5 sensory humanity is one that's built on external power. Trying to change it with more of the same will only add more to it of what it already is. In other words, it doesn't matter how wealthy we are, what businesses we control. We could put "Choose Love" on every billboard, every 3 miles along every freeway, and it won't accomplish anything because it's the pursuit of external power. It's the intention to manipulate and control. And from the multisensory consciousness, intention is everything. The word or the deed is not what causes consequences. It's the intention. So from that perspective, what can we do about Donald Trump? What can we do about Vladimir Putin? What can we do about this clique, this group of autocratic, rigid, brutal men in China that are creating the most automated, AI-controlled, authoritarian form of government ever seen? What can we do? But let's bring it back home to where I live in the United States. What can I do about Donald Trump? The very dynamic of our evolution now requires, if we intend to evolve, to love him and to love everyone who's drawn to him. And I'm not talking about sentimental love. I'm not talking about inviting him to dinner. I'm talking about not losing track of his humanity. I'm talking about remaining aware of the reality that, like me, like us, he is a soul with frightened and loving parts of his personality, and he's in the control of frightened parts, and he doesn't know it. It's the world to him. He's confined to the old consciousness. But I'm not. If I lose touch with Donald Trump's humanity, I lose touch with my humanity. If you lose touch with Donald Trump's humanity, you lose touch with your humanity. What a startling conclusion. Startling. The only way to change a world built on external power, the only way for you to evolve now that you are part of the new consciousness, is to love. That's what's different. That is what changes the world. More external power can change an administration. You can raise more money, create another political party, get more votes, and change an administration, but it's not going to change the world. More external power applied to a world built on external power will create the same. This is where we are now. I invite you to look at it. More specifically, I invite you to look at yourself, at what I have suggested to you, and see how it applies to your life. And if you are suspecting, even suspecting that it applies to your life, you will need to change your life. Everything is changing now with the new consciousness. We have new capabilities. We have new aspirations. We have new goals and new ways of reaching them. We have new ways of relating. And in this, above this, and through this all, we have new ways of being. And that's what we're going to discuss in the next podcast. So between now and then, take out your notebook. By now, maybe your third or your fourth notebook, and write down everything that you've resonated with that I've discussed in this podcast. See what it is exactly you resonated with or what you didn't. And then look at it at the end of every day and see what you can learn about yourself from what you've written. Who else could you learn about yourself from with as much authority as you? I'm looking forward to speaking with you again soon. I always do. Oh, and by the way, if you're resonating with any of this, I recommend to you a course that I was part of creating along with our support team. It's on our website, seatofthesoul.com, and the course is called Beyond the Five Senses, because that's what we're talking about. The new consciousness, beyond the five senses, beyond being controlled unconsciously, mindlessly, by the most destructive parts of our personalities, and only now and then experiencing the liberating, freeing, loving, caring parts of our consciousness, and making them the ongoing stabilized experiences in our lives. I'm Gary Zukav.